I asked the economists to come up with some data, and with that data we would then discuss in more depth about the angle and the length. No, I think you're the only economist here, right? Okay, but did you gather some data, all three of you?
I have data, but I didn't do the
analysis.
The table.
Okay.
But I have the data.
Okay, so now so the idea was that you were to try to come up with the name, the quality, the length,
Exactly.
the angle, and then we can do the corrected length afterwards. And to struggle with the ideas of the quality and the length. The quality, the length, and the angle. So we discussed a little bit about general qualities, but the length and angle takes a little bit more discussion. Luckily, when we're doing the economic table, a lot of this can be done fairly, it can be fairly standardized. It's not the same as the sociological tables where you have to develop protocols for deciding, X% of the population believes this and the other percent believes that or something. It's a little bit trickier and a little bit more subjective. Okay, so I'm playing secretary to myself, so I want, and I need the table so that I can compose a compass so that I can then find out what your reactions are to the compass. So give me some data, name of data, economic data.
They have the added value of industry in the basin area is all concept. The interesting thing is most of the added value in the state is in the basin.
Okay.
So Guadalajara metropolitan area,
yeah,
is concentrates 18%
okay,
of industrial added value of the state.
Okay.
As you know, the metropolitan area of Guadalajara has 4 municipalities.
Mhm.
So one is Guadalajara
Mhm.
that has 18.40. The second is Zapopan, which is this municipality where we are right now, is 17.86. Then Tlaquepaque is 5.23%. Those three, el Tlacomulco también está en la, sí, ¿verdad? La cuenca del río Santiago.
Is there anyone joining us remotely?
Yes, we have 3 people.
Oh, okay. Can they hear me?
Sí.
Do I need to use the microphone for them?
Podríamos hacer a ver si una con micrófono y en una ocasión sin micrófono para poder elegir, por favor.
Yeah,
This is better with the microphone. Okay, so we should also, I shouldn't touch because I've got a cold, so
Okay.
it's better if you guys use the microphone too. So we had, so Salvador came up with the statistic added value of industry in the basin. And so, and he's made an analysis that in Guadalajara, it's 18%, Zapopan is 17%, and
Tlaquepaque.
yeah, how do you spell that?
Tlaquepaque, 5.23%.
Use the microphone.
Yeah, the Tlaquepaque municipality is 5%, 5.23.
Yeah.
Then Tlajomulco, which is It's not in the metropolitan area.
But it's part of the-
Formally, but the reality is people travel. So anyway, so it's Tlacomulco, 3.28. And El Salto, which is the very place of the problem,
Mm,
is 6.24. Entonces, si lo sumas, que son
Okay,
18,
so,
26,
okay, that doesn't add up to 100%, so,
29, 29 y 3, 32, 6, 37. It's like 40%. 40% of the total added value of the state is located in those 5 municipalities,
okay,
in industry only. Roughly, it's not exact. No se pueden hacer la suma.
okay, so, all right, so this is 40% of the added value of the whole,
Industry,
of industry in the basin area
exactly,
compared to the whole of Jalisco province.
exactly.
Very good. Now, what quality does added value have? Is it in excitement? Is it in harmony, or is it in discipline? Yes.
I'm thinking. Well, that's something that you told us last class.
Yeah.
Which means that,
Use the microphone.
yeah, sorry, if we have, basically added value is the rate of growth of gross product is what
Right.
the industries create value in the accountability
Right.
and the state accountability. So according to what we discussed actually, that this is it's a stable component of the economy.
Right.
So you should be on the first one.
In harmony.
in harmony.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm just thinking.
Okay, yeah, because we don't know, this is something that's necessary for industry to survive at all, right? If they don't have any added value, then they go under. So they need some, and we don't know really what the rate of the added value is, whether it is a very high added value or low added value. We just know that most of the added value is in this area. Okay. And we want to compare this area, the Santiago River Basin area, to the whole of Jalisco province. So now we want to decide on the length. Now you said that it's 40%.
Roughly, I have to do the.
Well,
la suma.
it's okay. The compass is going to be very rough anyway. Because we don't have enough data to do a real compass. So we don't need it. And anyway, the things get, I'm going to be using pen and pencil to do the compass. So there's going to be inaccuracies. So we don't need to worry too much about the exact figures. But the length now, so since it's 40%, that would suggest that what we should do is make it maybe 0.4 of the length. Does that make sense? Since it's 40%, yeah.
To what, sir?
To make the length of the arrow for this particular indicator.
I just, I didn't know if they did the sumatory properly. A ver, que no puedo conectar. 18 más 17.
No, it's a bit more than 40%. I
35.
think it's more
Yeah,
50%. It's closer than 50.
17 más 5 más 3 más 6.
40 más 3.
44, almost 50%.
Yeah, nearly 50.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say 47% or something.
Uh-huh.
So it sounds as though the length should really be around 0.5, half of the length of the radius, just for that reason. So that's not difficult. Okay.
So that means that the arrow is halfway.
That's right, that's right. So just as if you drew a graph, right, you would have it about halfway.
We left it here.
Oh, is it behind the closed door? So if you drew a graph, you would have this as about halfway. So that's,
Está de este lado, creo.
the length is like your y-axis. So what about now the angle? Because this is much more interesting. So, oh, good. Are all pieces of paper still there? Okay, yeah. So very good. So we have our graph, and 50% is halfway. Well, this drawing, it's okay. This is just a normal graph, right? Well, a messy graph. So it's a Picasso graph, or Jackson Pollock graph. So your y-axis, you decide on a height for your y-axis, and then 50% is here, and the y-axis is the same as the radius of the circle. That's it. Okay, now the angle. This is much more difficult to decide. So is this something that moves towards harmony? Towards excitement or towards discipline? So it's something that is normal for industry. Industry has got to have some added value, otherwise they go under. It seems to be quite healthy, right? So they're not because it's 40% of the added value, and so they're not suffering. They're not going to. So that suggests it's not towards discipline. It's more towards excitement. Is it something very exciting? This is a part of economics you're not taught how to reason in this way, right?
No, I don't.
So what do we think? It's for you to do the work, not for me to do it. You have to learn how to do the analysis. So remember that the angles in harmony go between 0 and 120. Halfway is 60. So if it was just absolutely normal economically, but it sounds as though it's a little bit exciting, right? That you've got 40% of the economy here in the basin area. So it should be somewhere between 60 and 0. It's always hardest to do the first ones.
This all depends if you're a traditional economist or an ecological economist.
We're traditional economists.
If we're a traditional economist, then it's towards excitement.
That's right.
Because it means that
That's
there's
The ecological part comes out in the social table and in the economics and in the environment table. So don't worry, all that will catch up. But right now we're just traditional economists.
not this traditional, traditional economic theory that as much as you concentrate, as much as you grow, the better. So
Right.
More is always better. in
Right.
traditional economics.
That's right. That's right.
The fact that we have almost 50% in that region, it's an excitement. for
That's
that
right.
region.
That's right. So this is a very exciting quality, but it stays within harmony because it's something necessary for industry. Good. So let's put it, I don't know, at 20 degrees. We can always revise these figures, right? So at some point we might even find out a way of calculating this. quite precisely. Right now, we can't. So I'm just guessing from what it is that you've been saying. So it's 20 degrees. All right, now I need another piece of data, economic data.
Ahí en los modos, en la
¿Dónde?
economistas
Use the microphone. Or maybe some of the economists.
Yeah, but I'm saying maybe our virtual.
Yes. Yes, we have to include the virtuals. It takes a long time to discuss the first ones, and then once we get used to them, then things will go faster. But the data analysis is hard at the beginning. Okay, another piece of data.
Ya les pregunté, pero no me contestaron.
No tiene. Ok, yo tengo otro. Yo traje.
Do
I
they have-
have.
De lo que se están quejando es que el uso del micrófono hace que se oiga mucho hueco y no escuchen bien.
Entonces me lo quito.
Sí,
Yeah,
a ver si mejor si con sin el micrófono
A
se
ver,
oye mejor.
use the microphone.
o hablando fuerte.
A ver, va a hablar fuerte a ver si... A ver,
Hola, ¿me oyen bien? ¿Es mejor sin micrófono?
que sí, que lo oyen mejor.
Ah, muy bien. Bueno, entonces lo que yo vi, otra información que traje es que unidades económicas, lo hice en el Alto Santiago. The Alto Santiago is basically the region we're studying, right?
Yeah.
The Upper
Mhm.
Santiago Basin,
Yeah.
which includes 35 municipalities. The percentage of economic, ¿cómo se dice unidades económicas? Economic
Units.
units. I don't know if that's understandable in English. When it's economic units is like
Measurements?
businesses, the number of total businesses.
Okay, number of businesses. Okay.
70%, 70.4% in relation with the rest of the state. And then I have another one. 86. That's only one of them.
Otherwise, because there's no point in discussing two at the same time. 'Cause- Okay, Upper Santiago, Basin, 70.4% of registered businesses.
I think so, yeah. Unidades económicas. I don't know how to translate. Lo pueden buscar, por favor.
Yes.
La Google Translation. I don't. I think it's the number of registered businesses.
Yeah, so you have to pay a business tax.
Yeah.
So you're registered as a company and you have to pay
Exactly.
tax. on it. So, yeah. Okay, so which quality is that in? Again, is that in harmony? Is that in excitement? Or is that in discipline?
I don't want to repeat the past one because then when it's too much concentration, it means that
Don't think like an ecological
in the
economist,
rest,
think like a
no,
traditional.
economics standpoint.
Yeah.
When it's too much concentration of economic activity in one place, it means that the rest of the state, from an economic,
Use the microphone.
no, I
No,
can't.
sin el micrófono.
It's better.
Without
with
the
a
microphone.
Okay.
When you use it, they hear some time of echo.
Some economists would say that it's not very good to have so much concentration in one region, even from an economic standpoint of view, because it means that the rest of the state has nothing, and then there is poverty and unemployment and so forth. So I don't know.
So then maybe it belongs in discipline. Right, because it shows a problem, it shows an economic imbalance. Okay, good. So if there's an imbalance, then that makes it in discipline, maybe towards excitement, because it's something that fluctuates. right? The imbalance is a bit chaotic. And the notion of chaos really belongs to the border between discipline and excitement. Okay, good. So I'll put it in discipline.
Me insisten que le quite el micrófono a la doctora.
También.
Sí.
So they're asking you, but probably it's better without the microphone.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we put it in discipline. Is it better if I speak a little louder like this? Okay,
Sí.
So we put-
They hear you. They
Okay.
hear you well.
okay, muy bien. Okay, so we put it in discipline, and because it shows an imbalance, it makes the market a little bit volatile, right? The businesses are all concentrated in one place. So this shows that things could be, it's not very stable, right? It's not something that just sits there. It's going to be something that's in flux that will change. And so it's in discipline towards excitement for that reason. So let's look at our, so this is discipline. And so the reading will be somewhere between 180 and 240. Now, is it a very big imbalance or is it a small imbalance?
Very big, 70%. 35% of municipalities concentrate 70% of economic activity. Which, if you go to the other parts of the state, in the north, or Otlan, or then there's, you have to divide the rest in the whole.
I see, okay, good. So these conversations, you see about what these things mean, that is also very important. And this is something that the compass draws out. Exactly that sort of discussion about what does it mean? Is it important? Is it significant? What is it like in other places, etc. So those conversations are, that's all part of what I call the exercise of constructing the compass. So we understand better what is the economics of the area. Okay, so it sounds as though it's a problem, but it's a, it is economic business. So that means that you are actually earning some money. So that's a good thing. It's not that the businesses are going under. So I would put it, for that reason, fairly close to excitement. Yeah, good. So let's make it, I don't know, 200 or 210 or so, 220. This is the most touchy-feely part of the exercise. So let's say 220.
In enthusiasm?
Sorry,
In enthusiasm? In enthusiasm?
in the angle. Yeah. Now, what we haven't decided is the length. Now, you said it's 74% of economic business. So that would suggest.
70.4. 70.4.
Oh, 70.4. Okay.
That will come 2015, the data, not very.
So that would suggest that the length should be 0.7 or so. Right. Okay, because it's not 100%, it's not 0%, it's 0.7%. So the length is fairly easy to calculate. Okay, very nice. Third data point.
No, no traje, no busqué nada, la verdad.
¿Por qué no está Jorge Mejía conectado?
No.
Tengo información de cómo.
Pero es de Colombia. Ahora ya, ¿verdad? Yo tengo otro, pero no quiero.
¿Pero en 220?
Ujú.
220.
Do the remote people have a data point?
No, no me han dicho nada.
No. Well, it's okay. Economics doesn't have to be represented in the policy decisions. That's fine.
33% of the business in Jalisco are working with a credit, con un credit. And the 56% presents like a prórroga. I don't know how to say in English.
¿A delay?
Delay es retraso.
Sí.
Retraso. Prórroga es que les dieron.
Extension.
les dieron
After
when you default your loan.
Okay,
So 30% of businesses are working
in
with debt,
credit,
with credit,
yeah,
and of those, 50% are on default.
are in default. I see.
But that's in the state of Jalisco.
Yes.
Not in Quebec.
no Jalisco.
And now we're taking statistics of the basin compared to Jalisco.
Exactly. We would have to
So
know
we know
out of those, how many
how
are.
many are in Santiago River Basin.
That's why I sent, for the next, for, to understand the thing, I sent to you in the group, the map of the basin. And then you see is colored in green, the municipalities that are in the high, like we call it, high Santiago River Basin. So we should be able to get some info if we go to the municipality information system. Each municipality has a whole set of
Data,
data
yeah.
about what's going on in
Right,
the
right,
municipality,
right,
so you
right.
will be able to use.
That's right. I mean, there's lots of economic data, so it's not hard to find. This is something that people do keep track of.
Okay.
Okay, so a data point where we could compare the river basin area to Jalisco province.
I have another one regarding employment.
Okay, okay, what is it?
86.8% of industrial employment is in the upper Santiago Basin.
What sort of employment?
Industrial.
Percent.
El 86% del empleo industrial del estado se concentra en los municipios que están localizados en la cuenca alta del río Santiago. O sea, de Chapala a San Cristóbal de la Barranca. Son ahí como, o sea, hay unos que están como Totonilco, Totoncitlán, ¿no?
What I would also like though is things like figures such as GDP or number of businesses that have gone bankrupt or how much money is moving around. Those sorts of figures. But okay, so we have 87% of industrial employment is in the river basin area. Some of it is not going to be giving people a lot of money. Does that belong to discipline, to harmony, or to excitement? If you're a traditional economist. So employment is a good thing.
When I was a traditional.
So, yeah, you have to, for the compass, it's interesting, you have to put on different hats,
Yeah.
right? So when you're doing the economist one, you pretend you're an economist. When you're doing the environment, you pretend you're a tree or something, and that's very different. Because
That's
trees
more
are not
easy for me.
economists. So it's sort of fun, you have to sort of jump around, it's a kind of mental gymnastic. But, okay, 87% of industrial employment is in the basin area. So employment is a good thing. You don't want 100% employment if you're a traditional economist, because you want a ready force that wants to work. You want people that go a little bit hungry. So 100% employment's not good, because then the workers can be very demanding about their wages. You don't want low employment, too low in employment, because that's not very good either. 87% is fairly healthy. That's a good thing.
But you see that, I mean, if I may comment on this, well, those are the municipalities. See? And so,
Should turn the camera.
so the see, the thing is among, see, this is where we are, and that was where we were last time.
Yeah.
You know, that is, this is where we were Saturday in Iztahuacan, here in the municipality. That's Guadalajara, and that's Zapopan, where the word Zapopan is. That's where we are right now.
Yeah.
Because the municipality of Zapopan is huge.
Yeah.
But this is, Cusea is where the name is, more or less.
Okay.
And then all the municipalities where the green part, the green part is the geophysical boundaries.
Okay.
And the lines are the municipal administrative,
Yeah.
right?
And Jalisco is what?
No, Jalisco is much bigger, but this is just part of Jalisco, right? Because
So this is just the river basin area.
exactly, because this part that is without names, this is the
It
state of
always
Michoacán, another state.
Right.
And from the here to there, all this is state of Jalisco.
Now I understand. Okay, we get. Okay, look, let's continue working. So 80% of employment is in the basin area.
Yeah, what I was saying is that even in the traditional economic theory, I mean, if you bring a traditional economist and ask him to criticize the economic policy of the last 50 years, they would say that the main factor of failure of the Jalisco economy is precisely the concentration of economic activity and population and financial activity in this, not even the whole basin, it's in this, the gray part. So, because that has meant the migration of thousands of people from Jalisco to the United States to work as illegal workers, and the economic depression of the other municipalities. So that's from a traditional economic perspective, right?
Okay.
So they would say, for example, in the school of La CEPAL, the Economic Commission for Latin America, which the president is a Mexican woman, a Mexican economist. Her main thesis now, her main proposal to Mexican and state governments is to implement policies in order to deconcentrate and create, they call it polos de desarrollo in the mid-80s, they create investment in regions so they can start to disseminate economic activity in the whole state. The federal government has not started to do this process. For example, all the powers in Mexico, in the country, all the ministries, all the secretaries of state were located in Mexico City. And Mexico City is always the same thing. I think Mexico City is like the main, I think 60% of economic activity of Mexico is in this area. So in order to reverse that, what the Mexican federal government is doing is to move the ministries to the states where there is a rationale. For example, the Ministry of Agriculture.
La de ganadería y agricultura.
Agricultura. They're gonna put in Jalisco the Ministry of Agriculture and cattle raising.
So now we have some more traditional economists. Are you in agreement with this economic policy?
It makes sense.
Does it make sense?
Because, for example, for me, it doesn't make sense that the Navy is in Ciudad de Mexico. And that's one of the purpose, to move the Navy to Veracruz.
Okay.
To that coast. and so forth, like education goes to somewhere else, Ministry of Environment in another Minister of Health, another state of the Republic, because when you have a ministry in another state, then business go there, activity, flights, tourism, amenities.
Okay,
So it
okay,
means that you start reversing the process of concentration of economic activity.
okay, all right, okay, so this belongs in which general quality? In discipline, in excitement, or in harmony?
I think excitement, no?
The deconcentration is excitement.
Okay.
Because it means that, imagine that people from Veracruz, which is a very depressed economic area, then they tell them, yeah, you're gonna have the Ministry of Marine Businesses in Veracruz.
No, careful. No, we're discussing this one statistic, right? We're not discussing about policy changes later on. We're just discussing 80% of industrial employment is in the basin area.
Okay.
That belongs in excitement. Or does it show a problem, type of market failure, in which case it would belong in discipline? Okay. Are we in agreement, all the economists here? Yeah, okay. So it really belongs in, now, later, as we move ministry, as the policy starts to meet itself out, and as we disperse industry and disperse the economics around, then that might become more in excitement. But right now, it belongs to discipline because it's a problem. It's been noted as a type of market failure, if you like. So it's in discipline. Now, since it's 87%, then that would suggest that the length of the arrow should be 0.87. Because that's where all of the industrial employment is. So we'll make it 0.87. Now, what about the angle? Again, this is the most tricky part. So it's in discipline. Is it towards excitement or is it towards harmony? Yes, because it's a bit chaotic again. You know, it shows an imbalance. It shows something that will fluctuate. It shows something that's a little bit, one person is poor here and somebody else has more money here, and they're very close together. And that shows that brings a lot of economic flux. And as Salvador said, it does mean that people move. They have to move physically in order to get work, etc. So that means that there's something unstable. And that instability, that notion of chaos, belongs towards excitement. Okay, so again, we might give it an angle of maybe 220 or so. 210 maybe.
Lo que una vez platicábamos de las carreteras, ¿no? Que a veces son salidas, pero para que se vayan, no para que mejore la economía. El ejemplo del... There's an example in the north of the state that they built a highway and work not for the economic development. The people use it to live and go when they went to the city.
I see. Yes. Yeah. So, well, it serves the rest of Mexico. It doesn't serve the local community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes when you build a highway as well, because people used to stop when they had their trucks and things, and it was hard to get along on the road, they would stop and they stay overnight. And you build a big highway, people just go right past. All those places are forgotten.
But now with the rural ways they're building in Oaxaca, the people is starting to take their products and other things to the capital.
Right.
For me, it's a very exciting and interesting program.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in really far communities and poor communities.
That's right. So, but here today, so this has to do with the greater Mexico. But here today, we're simply talking about the Santiago River Basin area and Jalisco province. But you're right that this is part of the bigger picture
Mhm.
of what is going on. Okay, I need another statistic. Preferably something in excitement, because we have nothing in excitement. So excitement is investment. It's things that are very volatile, that are changing.
The inflation rate, right?
Inflation rate?
Yeah, that's inflation. Well, I have a 6.5 is over than the average national.
In Jalisco province? Okay, inflation rate.
But the fact that Jalisco has the highest rate, what makes you excited?
Mm.
Makes you excited.
Because
Higher inflation.
yes, and this could be a point in favor of
The activation.
yes, could be. It's difficult because inflation rate is
No,
sometimes
it's according to
it's
the
bad,
cycle.
sometimes it's good. Depends.
According to the cycle.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, so we've decided that the inflation rate is 6%, is that right?
6.1.
6.5%, and that this is how much higher than the rest of Jalisco province?
I don't know the rest of Jalisco, of the rest of the country is 0.5.
0.5, okay,
Yes,
so,
and Guadalajara is the second city with more inflation.
okay. Okay, so you think this belongs to excitement?
And yes, could be because the inflation is indicate that the economy is
Moving, yeah.
moving.
Yeah, okay, good. So put it in excitement. Now, the length. So the length. So we want to think in terms, now 6.5 is not probably the length, right? So we want to think in terms of what is normal, what is extreme, and what is minimal. So what would be an extreme rate of inflation in Jalisco province?
Let me check.
Maybe it'd be 10% or something. That would be sort of crazy, right? What would be just really extreme?
But it will be extreme, maybe a 7%, because
Okay.
let me check the national rates.
Yeah, that's right. And the remote people, they must have found one by now. Nada.
No.
Oh la la. They don't want the economy to be represented in the campus. Yes.
We have here another 8,000.
Okay, very good. Excellent.
Or maybe the economic income.
Good. Average income?
For
That's very nice.
example, in, let me see, let's just see, in, se me perdió. Me acabo de ver.
Did you find out more or less?
The national is, I don't know about the state of Jalisco, but the national is almost 5 to 6. This is the rate.
But 0.5 or 5?
The 5.
5, okay. So 6.5 is not that much higher.
Yeah.
It's a little bit higher. Okay,
For example, I'm looking here for the rent of the renting a house.
okay,
the
moment,
municipalities.
we're still on the inflation rate. Okay, so since the average is around 5%, is that right? So this is a little bit higher than that. What would be sort of extremely high? Would it be 10% or would it be lower than that?
In 2017, it reached 7.77 in Mexico.
Okay,
It's like the largest.
so maybe 8 or 9% is the extreme.
Maybe 7,
Well, no, because then it's higher, that was higher than 7, right?
6.77. It was the highest in Mexico.
Okay,
In
That's the highest.
2017. In Mexico. Is that okay? Yeah, we almost reached the higher point in Jalisco.
Historical maximum.
okay, so 6.5 versus 7, so we're very close to that extreme.
Yeah,
So maybe we should make it 0.8 or 0.9 for the length. Right, this is a long arrow.
higher point is
Maybe 0.9, yeah, okay. Now the angle on the inflation rate, that is so much higher in Jalisco province than it is that is much higher in the river basin area than it is in Jalisco province. So that's an excitement. And excitement is between 240 degrees and 360. Right? So
we found it, right?
right. Good. So is it towards harmony, towards stability, or is it something that belongs to, yeah, it's closer, that's right. So it's closer to discipline, right? Inflation rate. So, and it's a little bit alarming, right? And it shows instability. It shows something that is in flux, and again, it's in a notion of chaos, right? That things are unstable and that they're going to change. So we want it to be, but it's an excitement. We'll put it towards discipline. So maybe 260, 200, yeah. Does that make sense?
1760.
Let's say 260. Yeah.
Here they want to comment, Joel Garcia,
Yes.
that only in El Salto there are 300 industries.
Okay.
So that's his comment, not only.
Okay. But we're making a compass not on El
In the
Salto.
industrial corridor of Ocotlan, El Salto, there
Yeah.
are about 300 industries.
Okay. Okay, so, and you over there, you had another economic one. So let's start with the El Salto has how many?
300 industries in the corridor between Ocotlan and El Salto. Ocotlan, where is in the map?
Aquí está. Is this part? This is the corridor.
Ocotlan, Ocotlan, El Salto.
Okay, so does that belong to excitement, to discipline, or to harmony? Again, it shows a concentration, right? How many industries are there in the whole of Jalisco province?
I'm asking him.
Okay. And you had over there, you had an economics one.
Yes, we have to.
Okay, give us one.
Lo de las rentas promedio de vivienda, debe ver las disparidades. ¿Están?
That's important.
I have here a data about about the rents of the houses.
Okay,
For example, in El Salto,
yeah,
the average rate is 5,000 pesos. In Guadalajara, 24,000. In Tlajomulco, 15,000.
okay, hold on, I can't write that fast. Okay, El Salto is 5,000 pesos.
In close number.
In-
Guadalajara, 24,000. Tlajomulco, 15,000.
Okay,
Tlaquepaque, 10,000.
how
Tonalá.
much was it?
10,000.
Okay,
Tonalá, 11,000. And Zapopan, 25,000.
okay, so this is too many different numbers to deal with. What we want to compare again is the Santiago River Basin area. So you want to find an average of the river basin area compared to the rest of Jalisco province. And then we can work with that number.
Because the average in all the metropolitan area
Yeah,
is 23,000.
yeah, okay. But we're not making a compass of the metropolitan area.
Okay,
So ask whoever it is that's
because
joining us
the
remotely.
only here is El Salto, is part of the racing, but there's also need Juanacatlan, Zapotlan, and Ocotlan.
That's right. So ask whoever found this to make an average of the rent in the river basin area compared to the rest of Jalisco. Otherwise, it's not useful data for us. Okay. Yes,
So we have the number of enterprises or companies are located in that.
No, estoy bien. Ahí.
okay. Number of
Industries.
the basin, okay. Is,
So there's a total of 675.
yeah, and in Jalisco province, there's how many? So again, what is important is that we're making a comparison. A statistic all by itself is useless. You know, if I tell you that the average income is 60,000 pesos a month, this is a useless piece of information by itself. It's only when we make a comparison that it becomes interesting. And we have to make the same sort of comparison. We can't compare El Salto rents to the whole of Jalisco province and say that that is representative, because it's not. It's very much not representative. It's only 5,000 pesos. And that's different from Guadalajara. Therefore, we have to be very clear about what we're comparing. We're comparing the average in the river basin area to the whole of Jalisco province. And it's those numbers that we need.
We
Yeah.
have the one from Jalisco.
Good, okay.
So in Jalisco in total, there's 367,000.
Okay, so the number of industries in the basin is 675,
Yeah.
and the number in Jalisco province is 367,000. Okay. So that tells us that the percentage is about 1/7, yeah, 18%. Yeah, so it's around 18% of the industries are in the river basin area. Good. It's about 18%. Good. So does that belong? Now we have to start the analysis. Does that belong to harmony, to discipline, or to excitement? This doesn't seem to show us market failure, right? Because we don't have a big concentration of sun. So it seems to be okay. This is only 18% in the river
But I
basin.
just want to clarify something related to the data. I'm so sorry. Because the first number I gave you for the basin,
Mhm.
so here we are considering only big companies. So only big companies, not the small
Right.
corner
Yeah.
shop. Whereas here right now, the other number is considering
Everything.
everything.
Okay,
So
so
maybe it's not gonna be useful.
that's right. So the data, we have to be careful about data.
Yeah.
Right, so we have to compare like to like
Yes,
in this case. So unless you can find a number for also just big business, it's not a useful statistic.
Yeah. But we have another.
So I'm going to erase it. Should I erase it?
Yeah, we erase it.
Okay.
Yeah. We have also the amount of investment
Yeah,
in water and treatments in Basin and in Jalisco.
okay. Okay, so in the basin, how much is it?
So in the basin. No, es la cuenca. De la cuenca. Okay, so for the basin
Mhm.
is $808 million. $858 million.
Yeah,
931,707.
okay,
But let's round it probably to 858 million.
okay, yes. It's not going to make that much difference, that's right. Okay, pesos, right?
And for Jalisco
Yes,
is 650 million. 15. So it's higher.
so there's,
So the basin is higher.
then the rest of Jalisco or in the whole of Jalisco? Because the basin is part of Jalisco, right? Okay, so what we are really comparing is not how much is it in the basin versus the rest of Jalisco, but the basin versus Jalisco. You see, so we have to add those two numbers together.
Okay.
So it's 858 plus 615. So, okay, so it's so this is the number that we are looking at. Is that in the river basin area, it is 858 million pesos versus the whole of Jalisco province, which includes the basin area, it's 1,473,000,000. Because I added the rest of, because you can't be, so what you had was the number of the,
Yes, the rest.
the rest. And so what we're comparing is not the river basin to the rest, but the river basin to the whole. So we had to add the two numbers together.
Okay.
Okay, so we have roughly 8.5 to 14. So what's that? 8.5 to 14. It's a little bit over half,
For that, a half?
a bit more than a half, so about 6. So that gives us a length of, now, should that be, now this is investment in water plant treatments.
Yeah.
Is that something that belongs to discipline, to harmony, or to excitement?
Exactly.
Excitement because it's an investment.
Oh,
Okay. Now, in excitement, is it an investment in something that might be very volatile, that might fail? Or is it something it's more kind of maintenance, right? If it's in water treatment, it's something that you just, it's kind of like investing in roads and stuff. It's something that it's an investment, but it's an investment in something that is fairly, just to keep society going. It's kind of a necessary precondition for the economy. Because if there's no water treatment, then the economy doesn't do very much at all, right? So it's going to be in excitement, but it's going to be towards harmony. It's an important investment. It's a lot of money, but it's for investing in something that is necessary for the economy to function at all. And it's investing in something that just sort of, turns over.
sorry, can you repeat why it goes towards harmony?
Because of the kind of investment it is. It's not an investment that might fail, and it's not a risky investment.
But it's a what?
It's not risky. It's an investment in maintenance, in maintaining the infrastructure,
the
Like-
functionality of the river?
like roads, like sewage, all of those things are just investment. It's an investment, so it belongs in excitement, but it's an investment in infrastructure. And therefore, it's an investment so that the economy can function, so that business will come to the area. If there's no infrastructure, business will not come to the area.
Yeah, we understand.
Okay, so it's towards harmony now. So this is interesting. It's very different from the other number that we had. So it's in excitement towards 360. Is it a very new, I don't know, sort of in time, historically, is this a big new project?
No,
Or is it something that is done fairly regularly?
I would say it belongs better to harmony towards excitement. Because it's something that it has to be planned already. It's something normal that we have to have, right? But it's not, but at the same time, I think it's not really working. So maybe some.
Well, it's not working why? Is
Yeah.
it not working for financial reasons?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, because less of the half of the treatment plants doesn't work because the money or the maintenance.
I mean, it doesn't work as well because at the end, as far as I understand, it doesn't really does the work. It doesn't really work plant treatment. So even though it treats the water, but it just treats a small fraction, like 30.
And don't eliminate all the contaminantes.
Yeah, but that's environment. That has to do with environment.
The thing is that it only treats 2,000 liters per second. for a river that has a flow size of 70.
Okay, so it's an underinvestment.
Yeah.
It's not an adequate investment.
Yes.
Okay,
But that, yeah, that's part of it, but the main problem is what Iris was saying, that there was a reform in 1990 with the free trade agreement thing. Before that year, the responsible agency for water treatment in the whole republic was the National Commission of Water.
right.
And they changed the constitution. And now the article 115 of the constitution transfers the responsibility of water treatment to the municipality.
Okay,
So what happened in the reality is that they gave the responsibility, but they didn't give the resources.
uh,
So what happened is it's a big business for people that build the treatment plants. But there is no money for nor salaries of the specialists that have. Imagine to go to one of those municipalities that are who knows where, and you build a sanitation plant with no resource, no technical, no financial, and no institutional resources. So what we have, the problem that we have in Mexico.
okay,
There
but
is
that's, okay,
hundreds of sanitation plants that are bad.
okay. So, but that's a separate statistic. Right now, we're just talking, now careful. So to individuate things properly, we're just talking about the investment. Now, it sounds as though the investment is an attempt to catch up with what is normal. All right?
Exactly.
It was abandoned for too long, and now there's an attempt to bring things towards harmony. So it sounds to me as though it really belongs in discipline, because there was a failure, but it's towards harmony. It's trying to make things normal, because before it was very, very bad. So we were in deficit. We were in debt. We were not cleaning up to make things sort of normal. So the infrastructure was suffering. And we did not invest enough to keep the infrastructure going. So now we're in discipline and we're trying to get towards harmony. Yeah.
Just to understand, if we're talking about losses, we put it in discipline, right? But not right now, we're just talking about investment. So in that case, I think it belongs to harmony towards excitement. And if we're talking about losses, I think we have to put it in discipline.
Well, it sounds as though to me is that there's been a big loss. So the water treatment infrastructure has been underinvested.
Yeah.
Not enough money has gone into it for a long, long time. The water is not properly treated.
Yeah.
So that part of the infrastructure that allows business to come and encourages business to come is at a failure. Therefore, it belongs in discipline. Now, it's an investment to bring something towards harmony, but yes.
But I mean, it goes to discipline because it's labeled as under investment.
Yeah.
So it should be put more investment into it. So that it goes to harmony.
Yes. So when there is enough investment, then it will be in harmony. It will just be a normal cost.
But that investment is not in excitement.
Yes, but what are we investing in? So when I said investment belongs to excitement, it's really when an industry comes and invests. Here we're talking about government investing to maintain infrastructure. So it's a little bit different from me taking a risk. You know, I'm going to invest in a new industry to make, I don't know, computers or toys or, you know, something that I think I can make. I personally, you know, put the money up and we try something. It's very different when it's government putting money in so that infrastructure is there, so that then business can come to the region. Right now, business doesn't want to come because the water is not good, you see. So so we might want to distinguish between government investment and private investment.
In terms of investment, sorry.
Yeah.
So we are thinking it's not the problem so much how much it has invested, but probably hasn't been very, very sensible where the plant has been located. For
Right.
instance,
Right.
there is a missing of
Yes.
knowledge for this to be.
Yeah.
So it's a poor investment.
Exactly.
So-
It's a poor investment.
Because
Yeah, it's a bad investment.
yeah.
So it's like my investing in, I don't know, a ski resort in Mexico. It's a bad idea,
Yeah.
right? You know, I'd have to make so much snow, it would just be a bad idea.
Yeah.
So it's not working very well.
Exactly.
It's a failing investment.
Because there is investment, there are no, it's not a follow-up.
It's not well placed.
Yeah. and
It's
that's-
not thought through.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is a poor investment. So that's indiscipline.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, so it's definitely an invest in discipline.
So you see that, but I have an opinion here regarding what Sophie was saying the other day.
Mm.
That this is a whole plot. The whole thing is a whole plot, a whole strategy
Yeah.
to make people rich. The
Yeah.
people that own the water mafia, we call it,
That's right.
right?
Sure,
So what
sure.
they did basically was public funding was invested
Yeah,
in
yeah.
things that have no future,
Exactly.
and these people got a lot of money out of that.
Exactly. But you see, so don't worry, because the fact that it's not working is going to show up in the environment compass and in the social compass. That will show up very, very large, because people are getting sick and because the environment is suffering.
I'm saying this.
So
is
all of that will
this
show
is
up.
Basically our position of water management.
Right,
What we say is that we don't need more sanitation.
right,
What
exactly.
we need is control over industry outflows.
A
Yeah.
follow-up.
Well,
better
hold
investment.
on. That's something that, we'll let the compass tell us that.
Mhm.
You're anticipating what the compass will tell us, and we don't, the exercise in the workshop is not to make a real compass. We don't have the time and the energy and the resources to get the right number of statistics and so on.
So I understand, but the thing is, when you are asking us to evaluate from the perspective of
Yeah,
excitement and
Yeah.
where it goes, so that it takes you necessarily to this general conception of what water management
that's
is,
right.
and how do you want that to happen?
Yeah,
And the basic, that's the motto of our project.
I know. So this is
The
exactly,
name of the project.
that's right. So this is exactly what will show up in the compass, not in the economics one necessarily. Right, so there'll be, so the idea that it's a market failure will really show up in the social compass and in the environment compass. And we'll see how the things are related. Because what we'll say is X number of water treatment plants are not functioning well. That's a problem, but it's not a financial problem. So we distinguish those two things. Why is it a problem? It's a problem because the water is not getting cleaned properly, and that's a problem because the environment then suffers and the society suffers. It's also a problem economically because people do not want to invest in the area because they see polluted water. But we're only thinking in terms of economics. The other stuff will show up on the other parts of the compass.
Yeah, because I'm doing pieces with the theme is the analysis of the public policy failure in water treatment. That's
Right.
exactly the theme.
Right,
And
what does
the thing
policy
is,
failure
she's
mean?
analyzing the current program of sanitation. And the only thing they can think of is more investment in sanitation plants
Exactly.
without
But there's
taking
no
into
point,
consideration.
and exactly, so this is the problem with thinking only economically, is that you think, what I have to do is more investment. But it's not just more investment. You have to now think, we've done this and it doesn't work. We now have to think about what kind of investment. We have to be smart now. And we have to invest in a way that will make the environment compass work properly and the social compass work properly. Otherwise, it's not a good investment. Because we're talking about a market failure here. And the market failure is not just about pesos. It's failing society and it's failing the environment. And that's why you need all three compasses in order to tell you what is going on. It's not enough to have an economics compass all by itself, because it looks fine economically. We're investing in the problem. We're investing to solve the problem. The failure of the investment shows up in the other compasses.
Then exactly, so the exercise that the compass allows you is to really understand the economic perspective, economic dimension.
Is not enough, not by itself.
But you see, from a traditional, I mean, you are an economist, from a traditional economic point of view, anything that you invest, you can invest anything. Like the Keynesian conception of investment, right? You can make holes and then put it that is growth and excitement. So it's for the government or for the authorities, they would say, see, the economic and strategic role of water investment projects is not in relation with water sanitation system, but it's economic prosperity, economic activity, because you are putting anything that you put that doesn't have $1,000 million.
And this is also a very important difference between government investing in infrastructure and private investment. Private investment on the market, you have the competition. So if you had a whole bunch of different companies that were trying to clean the water, right, all at the same time, all in the same place, then you would have good competition and you would get money back for your investment, right? The good ones would win. But we don't have that. What we have is government all by itself investing in these water treatment plants, not thinking it through well enough, not being intelligent enough to compensate for the lack of market competition. If there was market competition, then it would be okay, but there isn't. And that's part of the problem. So when government makes an investment all by itself, and it's not companies that are doing this competing on a level playing field against each other on the market. It's not so we have 20 water treatment plants all in the same place, and people then get to buy, oh, I want the water from that treatment plant and not that one. Then you'd have a proper market thing. But that's not what's happening. And therefore, government, when it makes these investments, has to compensate for the lack of real market forces. And it's not doing that adequately because the water is not being treated properly. And that will show up. So what will count as intelligent and good investment by government is going to show up in the social compass and in the environment compass.
Here I have one comment from one of the participants in the Zoom. He says that Joel Garcia says that only in 50 of 125 municipalities, they have a water treatment plant here in the Estado de Jalisco.
Okay.
And Griselda wants to share with us this map.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting. Look, this makes you the perspective of what we're doing. This huge part here, the basic boundaries of Mexico. The darker part is the Lerma Basin, and it ends in the Chapala Lake.
Yeah.
And Chapala Lake goes up to the Santiago River Basin, which is the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where we are. So the upper Santiago Basin, it's only this part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But here we don't have the municipal administration. It's only the biophysical structure and the urban area, which is this, the gray part.
Okay, but I have to, let's now return to, because I need numbers so I can make a compass for you. Let's return to the amount of investment in water plant treatments in the basin is around, 60% in the river basin area, okay, in terms of pesos. So we put this in discipline, and it should be towards harmony. So now I need the angle. It's not doing very well, all right? So it belongs pretty close to the middle of discipline, the 180 degrees. But it's an investment in making the infrastructure sort of normal. Therefore, it's between 180 and 120. What you might say is we need a lot more investment. We also need intelligent investment. Okay, so it's a good amount of money. Maybe it's enough money, but it needs to be done. We say that there's not enough resources. Is it not enough resources in terms of money, or is it not enough resources in some other way? I don't know.
In other words.
In other ways. Okay, so the money is sufficient. Okay, then it belongs in discipline and it's very close to harmony. It's the other things that are missing: the expertise, the surveys, the follow-up, the biology, and so on. So it's in discipline towards harmony. So it might be 140, maybe, because it's maybe an adequate amount. Okay. So that's the degree. The angle is 140. Okay, we're now past 11:30. So we should finish with, so that's enough for the economic compass. I'll produce that later on today. And as we said, this is just a workshop. This is not to make a complete compass of the area. It's only to learn the methodology. And we had some very important discussions about what does this mean? What does data mean? What do the numbers mean? What are they telling us? And the very fact that we're analyzing in terms of these qualities makes us think a little bit differently from how we normally think. And that gives us what I call objective remove. That is, we're thinking a little harder, so it puts us in our heads instead of our gut instinct and our emotions and our reactions. So we have to think, oh, this is a little bit tricky. I'm thinking in terms of discipline, harmony, excitement. And then we remove ourselves a little bit from that emotional reaction of, oh my goodness, there's not enough investment, or there's too much investment, or something like that. So this is part of the exercise. And the discussions that we had about what counts, what are we comparing? Are we comparing the fact that there is, in El Salto, there's average rent is 5,000 pesos, whereas in Guadalajara, it's 24,000 pesos? No, that's not the comparison that we're making for this compass. We might eventually make small compasses, one for El Salto, one for Guadalajara, one for Comico, etc. So we might make sub compasses, but that's a separate project. Right now we're just making Santiago River Basin versus Jalisco, and we can take averages. We can do it in however we want, but the numbers have to be making sense to make a compass that makes this comparison. And we had very interesting discussions even about which quality to put things in. So we learned to distinguish between government investment versus private investment. Private investment is very risky. It's one person or a group of people that say, I'm going to put the money up and I hope I get some returns on this that are important, versus government saying, I'm going to invest in an infrastructure to attract business to the area. And that's the role of government. And so they need to get it right. And in terms of water treatment, they haven't gotten it right itself. So that's something that, as I said, whether or not the water treatment investment was sufficient to clean the water, that's going to show up in the environment compass. We're going to see that the water is not clean. So then the question is, how do you solve that problem? Do you invest more money or do you invest it more intelligently? And it sounds as though we need other resources than just the money. The money has to be used to do the science, to make sure that the water is actually clean. And that will show up with the other compasses. Okay, so thank you very much for the economics compass. And I'm not entirely certain who I'm meeting. What's the second group? Is it the environment group or the social?
The environment group.
The environment group. Okay. So now we're going to, so we switch hats now.
Sí.
And now we pretend that we're a tree or a worm or a blade of grass. That's right.
So we have an environment.
That's right. Yes, yes. Right. So the discussions are very important because people start to realize the depth of the problem and what are the different facets of the problem. And so once we draw all that out, we start to see what does the number really tell us. I think it's very good.
Vamos a hacer receso. We're going to make a recess, or are we making a recess? Or?
Yeah, let's give 5 minutes, 5 minutes to stop, and then we'll put on, because it takes a little bit of time to shift and put on your hat as a blade of grass or a worm or a bird or something. So 5 minutes break, 5-minute break, and now I want you to go outside, touch the grass, listen to the birds, and pretend you're one of them when you come back in. You have to switch your hats now. You're not an economist. Yeah. Right.
And have some compare the basin with the state.
That's right.
So in that case, we have to homologize, or it just works like a, because we work with different